G'day everyone. How we all going? I'd spoken about doing this projection base for the Rip and Time League. So for all four conferences, go through and basically what I've done is compiled like an average of projections from around supposed professionals in the industry. So none of this is my opinion. I'll go over the rosters in each conference to start off with. Sort of say where I think teams have some strengths and maybe weaknesses, maybe some depth issues. But as far as the point scores go, and you can see it in the background there on the spreadsheet that I've got on the screen. So any of the points per game projections are basically just averages of, I think for offensive players, it was about half a dozen different people in the industry. So, and literally none of my opinion. So, it's not me blowing smoke here. So, also, while I've got it all cleaned up and a light on, it's pretty early in the morning here. It's only 4:30 a.m. And I want to turn the light off just to make the dog a bit happier. This, I'll pick the camera up. This monstrosity in the background here is our draft board that we're using for next weekend's 2.0 draft, which is what the league was based on. All the players' names at the bottom of it. All the players' names at the bottom of it are the players that have been kept from the previous season. But yeah, that's our massive draft party next weekend. Should be a bundle of fun. I think all the lads are pretty psyched for it actually. Anyway, I'm going to turn this light off and make the dog a bit happier. Sorry about that. Anyway, here we go. So, I'll just go over team by team, and I'll do a conference at a time. I was actually considering doing all conferences together in one podcast, but I think it would have been too huge and too hard for anyone to watch. I possibly could have gone through and put check marks and everything on the podcast, but no, I think this is just going to be easier. I'll do up a podcast for each conference, and then I'll do a podcast for the overall ratings out of the after I've done those three. So I mean 4. So there'll be five podcasts all up. All right. So we're going to start in the Lambeau division conference. I'm going to keep saying that. First team off the bat. Now, no bias here, but my team's generally the first one off the bat because I'm generally the first one listed in the conference. So, got my Milwaukee Badgers team. Grades out pretty strong. Strong quarterbacks, even if there is really only 2 good quarterbacks there. I think as long as you got 2 good quarterbacks, you're in pretty good condition. The running back room's not strong, but it's good enough to lean on in the place of a injury or bye week where you need a player to fill a spot. Then when you put together a combination of AJ Brown and Tyreek Hill, your receiver room's off to a pretty good start. I decided to take a shot at a couple of the young guys on this one. I'm hoping that at least, I think Malik Neighbours will at least be serviceable this season. I'm not expecting miracles out of him this season. And I'm not really expecting anything huge from Rome unless an injury occurs. And then, Olave's pretty solid number 3. So tight end room for me generally sucks. Tight ends in most of the drafts went pretty damn early, and I wasn't keen to pull the trigger on average tight ends early, and a lot of other people did. Like for probably the top 5 or 6, I might have, but anything after that, they're a dime a dozen after that. Who cares? So, defensively, I think we've got some pretty decent depth, although, what do we got? Yeah, it's pretty solid depth through there at defensive end. Good starters in Will Anderson and Miles Garrett. Linebackers are solid. Aziz and TJ Edwards. The only problem for Aziz being the week 14 bye. That'll be just something I've got to navigate at that point of the season. Hopefully by that point, I've got these, like Will Anderson. Well, I'll lose Will Anderson there too. Hopefully by this point in the week 14 bye, I've got Jalen Phillips back and actually being productive. And JOK or someone like that to plug in at linebacker. Injuries are going to play their part for everyone, mate. So, DB, cornerbacks, I don't care. It's a garbage position. I've got guys there that'll be productive, so that's all that matters. Safety is a position that I've generally targeted pretty heavily in every one of these drafts. Buddha Baker projects to have a pretty damn good season. Grant Delpit is always pretty good. His points per snaps are actually really good. The Browns defense just doesn't tend to spend a lot of snaps on the field. So Chauncey Gardner-Johnson always has good points per game. He's never healthy though, so that's always a problem. And Julian Love's always pretty consistent. Quite often a top 10 safety actually. And I've got guys there that can plug in and help out. So yeah, overall, I was asked by Matt which teams I thought were my strongest teams. I thought this and my Racine team were my strongest, in my opinion. So, and they graded out that way. So, all right, Joey. I think it was Joey. The Muncie Flyers. Apparently, we shrink back down. I've got to blow it up on every single rookie mistakes. Oops, we've gone too far. Yeah, I've just tried to put it as big as I can in the background, just so you guys can possibly see what I'm talking about. If any of you actually want a copy of this, I can email it out to you. I don't know if anyone really wants a copy of it or not. There's nothing groundbreaking in it or anything. When I put the scores in, I did have backups with points in it, but just to make it easier, I decided to pluck the points out of the backups and just utilise the guys that were put in as starters. There will be guys that are injured as starters, and I just went with the best possible lineups, and if it's not the best possible lineup all year long, then so be it. All right, Joey's got a pretty solid team. There's a lot of teams around this point mark. I've also got overall rankings, which are sitting down here. I'll go to that at the end of it. Good solid quarterbacks with Murray and CJ Stroud. Will Levis should be a decent third option for him, so he's pretty solid at quarterback. And we'll need a quarterback for that for that Week 14 playoff game if he's in it. So CJ will not be available. One of the downfalls of this league, unfortunately. The industry loves Bijan Robinson this year. Really, really high score average. And I like him. I do have shares in places. For that reason, I decided not to try and push the button to get in position to get him. For the most part, I was never in position where I would have taken him anyway. So, Cooper Kupp, DK, Michael Pittman, Devontae Smith, all pretty good receivers. I did see Josh Downs got hurt. I think they said 4 to 6 weeks. Which kind of sucks. I think Khalil Shakir actually might be a dark horse to be a productive receiver this season. So he's got a solid receiver room. With some depth around with Alvin Kamara and Ramondre Stevenson should be pretty solid backups at running back as well to fill in for bye weeks and stuff. So in solid shape there. Love Dalton Kincaid this season. I think as long as Josh Allen's got straight at somebody. I think Shakir's probably their receiver that he'll target, and Kincaid's graded out and looks like he's going to have a good season this year. He had a really good rookie season. The only reason no one talked about it is because Sam Laporta's season was ridiculous. Kincaid, I think, was still a top 10 tight end last season in my scoring league. So my scoring formats. I knew what I was trying to say. It just didn't roll off the tongue. Defensively, he's got Christian Wilkins. Cameron Hayward's a good backup at DT. Defensive end, Micah and Jermaine Johnson. I really like Jermaine Johnson. They just rotate their defensive end so much in New York. He doesn't get the snaps that a lot of others get. Plus, I don't think he's ever really going to be a huge sack guy. Probably going to be a bit like a Harold Landry type, where he could be quite a productive tackler going down the track, and a guy that might chip in. He might hit double figure sacks maybe on a year here and there, which is pretty good. If you can get a guy that can go out there and get you, say, 4 or 5 tackles a game at defensive end, and chip in a TFL or a sack or something here and there, that's pretty much what you want out of your defensive ends. That 4 or 5 tackles a game hits you around that 15 points. So I can't remember what the scores exactly are now, but in that area. So. And Parsons, I actually think Parsons could be number 1 defensive end this year. I think the Zimmer scheme, where he's going to try and put as much pressure on lines to cover as many gaps as possible. It's just the way Mike Zimmer plays his defense. He will often play the double A gap blitz. I mean, you got 6 guys there lined up on the line of scrimmage. That probably means Parsons probably going to get a lot more single blocking than he's ever had. I honestly do think he's going to have an enormous season this year. And plus, he's basically playing for a contract for next year, so even more reason. Nick Bolton grades out well. Alex Singleton probably grades out better with the experts than I probably have him. Probably a couple of points higher, but hey, who knows? Logan Wilson's always a solid what's the name? Linebacker. Kyler Gordon, Devin Witherspoon. I think Witherspoon's probably the one cornerback that anybody... If you're going to take a cornerback earlier, he's the only one you should be targeting. If the reports about Mike McDonald are true, where he's going to move Devin Witherspoon around quite a bit, kind of like a Kyle Hamilton type role from the Ravens. If that's true, then yeah, he could have a massive season. Good solid safeties there. Although Tyler Newbin, I think that might be a bit of a stretch at this point for the Giants. I don't know if he's going to get enough starting time to produce that sort of points. But Kyle Hamilton's one of my highest graded safeties. Cameron Curl's always pretty solid. Von Bell can get points. DeMarco Hellum's got injured yesterday. I didn't see how bad it was, but I did see when he got carted off in an air cast with an air cast on his leg. So I can't generally once that air casts are involved, it's generally not good news. So, but Joey grades out. That's the 410.26. That's the overall score. You can see the offensive points there for 176.88 and 233.38 for the defensive points. I didn't touch on mine actually. So my offense was 178.12 and defense is 242.40 for a 420.52 overall score. Washington Redskins, which I believe is Perry. I don't have the website open to see everyone's names, so if I stuff this up, I do apologise, but I'm pretty certain this is Perry's team. Awesome quarterbacks, man. Josh Allen, yeah, you can't go wrong with Josh. Trevor Lawrence as well. The only problem is they both got week 12 bye weeks, which means away from week 12, he's going to have to rely on probably Daniel Jones, by the look of it, to quarterback the team on that week 12 bye. Hopefully, for Perry's sake, it's not an important week. Went with zero running back strategy. Not that unusual these days. Most people don't tend to target them. Brandon Ayuk, God, who knows what's going on there? That contract situation could get ugly. There's another contract situation that is looking a bit ugly at the moment too. That maybe I don't think anyone was putting much weight in it earlier in the off season. So anyway, I'll touch on that when I get there. Good solid receivers, not us. Well, I suppose Puka had a great season last year. But yeah, it's a good solid receiver room. I think DJ's going to put up very similar numbers to last season. I might be in the minority because a lot of people seem to be quite down on DJ this year. He's got a far better quarterback throwing him the ball. And from what I've seen from camp, they've got a pretty good connection with each other. Tight end wise, look, TJ Hawkinson is, I don't know when he's going to be back, but he definitely won't be back in the first at least half a dozen games at least of the season. I would imagine if he's back, it's going to be the end of the year, so that's probably a little deceptive. But Dallas Goedert was maybe a point or two less per game. There wasn't a huge difference. I think he was about 15 points as opposed to the 17. So I don't think there's a massive drop off there. And even once Hawkinson gets back, I don't know. I've got no idea. So guys, it was a pretty brutal ACL injury that he got. That was where Kirby Joseph took his knees out. And actually, sorry, I didn't see Trey. He was down on my list. So Trey's his starting tight end anyway. Trey McBride will be, which just means he'll have to lean on hopefully another receiver. He's got Christian Kirk, who I think's in line for a good season, and Jacoby Myers is a good little plug-in for a bye week and that. So, he's in solid shape. Defensively, DTs are solid. Zach Sealer's a good option. So is BJ Hill. Defensive ends, Aidan Hutchinson and Harold Landry, very, very good, solid, consistent defensive ends. Carl Granderson's a good guy to have as a backup. Tuli Tuipulotu, he could be really good. Probably depends on whether Joey Bosa can actually stay healthy for more than 5 minutes. So if Bosa's out, then Tuipulotu becomes a hell of a lot more valuable. Linebackers, he's really good. Ernest Jones, Roquan, Kaiser White. Plus, you throw in Caden Ellis as a good backup, really good backup. He'd start for a lot of teams in the league, so that's four really good linebackers. Drake Greenlaw, I don't know how much you'll see out of him this season. CBs, once again, don't care. Kenny Moore's one of the better ones. After that, it's a crapshoot. Safeties. Marnie Hooker, Kirby Joseph, and Justin Reed are all pretty solid. Jordan Whitehead is a good solid starter too. Jordan Howden might put up points this year. I believe he's projected to be the strong safety for the Saints. But the experts didn't seem to like it, so it didn't grade out very well with that. PJ Locke probably projects to be better than what the experts were predicting as well. So, but Perry's team offensively pretty solid, 179-1-4. Defensively 228-24 for an overall of 407-38. Blow this up so everyone can see it. All right, we got the Detroit Panthers, which was. I apologise if this was not Dave Malone, but I believe this. I'm gonna bring the side up so I can see it. Pretty sure it was Dave Malone, and it just wants to keep coming back onto that screen. I'll start on it while I bring it up. So, good quarterback room. I'm pretty high on Anthony Richardson. I had him in my top 7 quarterbacks for this season. For a dynasty format or whatever. Keeper. The early parts of Keeper and Dynasty, I don't think are any different. I think that's where a few teams probably tripped up a little bit in this. Some people kept drafting like it was Keeper. Detroit Panthers. No, it wasn't. It was bloody. This is the combination team between Fabian and Chris. Apologies, guys. Very, very sorry. A lot of teams sort of drafted as if it was a dynasty and just kept taking rookies. I get it. You want to try and hit on some young guys, but to be competitive, you had to try and. It was all right to take a few shots there, but to try and stick at that, that's pretty hard. Anyway, whatever. I'm not here to question anyone's draft strategy. It's at the end of the day, it's your team. You paid the money for it. You do what you wish with it. So, all right. So Anthony Richardson, yes, as I said, I was pretty high on him. I was high on him as a rookie. He was my number one rated player in that draft, and I haven't changed. His skill set is ridiculous. If he stays healthy, he will score crap tons of points as a fantasy quarterback. Tua's solid. He will do sort of around that 23 to 25 points a game every year. He's locked and loaded now. He's got his contract, so he's not going anywhere. And the weapons around him have extended as well. So both Jalen Waddle and Tyreek have signed on for. I think Tyreek was a 3-year extension and Waddle was a 4, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So the outlook for Gina and Tua, Tua's been paid as well, so clearly he is the Dolphins quarterback for the foreseeable future. Jahmyr Gibbs, good solid running back. I don't know what his ceiling is. With Demo there, I don't think he's going to get the red zone touches to ever really be like a top like a really top running back. Whereas, as we saw with the score projection for Bijan, he's about 4 points a game stronger. Bijan's going to get those red zone touches. Devontae Adams, who knows? Like that whole situation in Vegas. I like Antonio Pierce as a coach. I like their setup. I don't like their quarterback room, and that can hurt receivers' productions. I think the 23 points a game is probably right about at the max with what he's got around him. Maybe up to 24, 25 area. I don't know. Plus, like, Adams is getting on. Who knows? It's a pretty high score, I think, with what he's got around him. Jefferson's scores, I think, is probably about at his max for this season too, to be honest. That quarterback situation this year, I don't know if JJ's ready. I've seen plenty of clips and stuff that actually look solid. Look like JJ's actually picking the offense up pretty well. But from what I've heard, I believe Sam Darnold's still going to be the starter. So Jalen Waddle, that's probably about right. He's pretty solid, consistent. He had a few injury issues last year. If he can add a couple extra touchdowns to what he did last season, then I think that's pretty close to the mark. Evan Ingram's always very productive. Kyle Pitts, this is his make or break year probably. So he looks healthy, looks fit. So defensively, Big Q, Quinton Williams, love Quinton Williams. He's probably one of my favourite defensive tackles in the game, actually. He's a good, solid option. And who knows? Jalen Carter could do anything. Who knows? Defensive end wise, we got Burns and Sweat grade out the highest, with some solid backups there. Bradley Chubb probably comes back second half of the season, probably. See how productive he is when he gets back. Rashawn Gary, he always looks like he could be a huge scorer, but he just does not get the snaps. If his snap count goes up, maybe his production can go up a bit. But AJ Epinesa actually was a guy that grades out pretty well points per snap. And Buffalo need pass rush, so Jordan Brooks is solid. EJ Speed's solid. Tremaine Edmonds is pretty solid too. Fred Warner's, that's about Fred Warner's level. He never gets any higher. They talk about him. In the real NFL, he's a great linebacker. In fantasy football, he's a solid to like that top 10 to 15 tier of linebacker. And if I'm being honest, there's not a lot between most of those anyway. Right, where are we? CBs, who cares? Safeties. Javon Holland, Talanoa Funga, Jalen Petrie. I actually like all three of them. Holland benefits in this system because of the scores that the pass defense and so forth give out. So this is a strong thing for him. Under normal leagues where they're just tackles that are awarded, he's not as strong. So overall, 182.04 on offense, 217.36 on defense. $399.40 overall. So the first one to drop under 400. I don't think it's not a bad team, and there's definitely upside there. Just probably need a few guys on D to possibly outproduce what they're projected for. Staten Island. This one was Sean, I think. Yep, there's Sean. Got it up on the screen now. Can't make that mistake again. So Sean, where are we? Quarterback wise, so he's got a couple of rookies. He's got Drake May and JJ. Neither one of which look like they're probably going to start early on. I wouldn't surprise. I don't think Drake probably even sees the field till maybe late in the season. He might get, say, 6 or 7 starts maybe towards the end of the year. And JJ, I don't know. I don't know. It probably depends on how the Vikings are going. If they come out the block slowly, and Sam Darnold looks like Sam Darnold, then JJ could start sooner rather than later. Who knows? But Jared Goff, Baker, Goff, I've got no worries with. They've got a really good offense around him. He pretty much just has to play distributor. Baker, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how big of a loss Dave Canales is for him. Dave Canales has been phenomenal in a few different spots where he's stopped off, which probably bodes well for Bryce Young this year. Hopefully for the Panthers. I mean, they got destroyed on that trade with the Bears, so I hope for their sake that Bryce Young works out. Dave Canales can work his magic with him. Running back wise, not a lot there to get excited about. I really do like Ty J. Spears, but it just depends on how much. With the money they gave Tony Pollard, I've got to assume Tony Pollard's a starter. But I think they'll get a pretty even share of production. Wide receiver room is solid. I see Rashee Rice makes the starting list. It's looking more and more likely that Rashee Rice might not even get suspended this season. It's probably going to be next season by the look of it. Just the way a few things I've read seem to be trending. And you got some good tight ends. Bowers probably grades out around, say, 14, 15 point a game tight end this year. And I'd say Pat Freiermuth is probably in that same area, so you got plenty of depth there. Defensively, Zach Allen's a good solid DT. Harrison Phillips always scores pretty solid too. Josh Hines-Allen, that's going to take some getting used to. George Karlaftis. I like Malcolm Kuntz. I like Boya Mafe, and I actually like Quiddy Pay. So you've got a pretty good solid defensive end room there. I don't think they're not huge producers outside Josh Allen, but they will be guys that if you can manage to get the rotation right and get the weeks right where they explode, you've probably got a good solid room there. Terrell Bernard was fantastic last season. I don't know how good he actually is, but you can only go off that. He was a really good 1-year starter. So he'll be on the field all the time. Devin Lloyd's solid. Patrick Queen, it'll be interesting to see how he transitions in Pittsburgh. And CB's, I've got no idea on Dax Hill. I think that it looks like he's probably going to play. No, they were talking about him playing the slot, but Mike Hilton will be playing the slot. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to play, what's going on, but the industry still likes him as a projection wise. So Nate Hobbs is always solid. Probably the spot where you kind of missed out a bit was at safety. Jalen Thompson's really good all the time, but Jordan Fuller should get tackles with the Panthers. But yeah, the likes of Gilman, Morag, Peppers, and Gino Stone, they're all just solid safeties without being spectacular. They're not really big play guys. So overall, lowest scoring team so far. Yeah, on offense, you've got 168.5, defensively 218.2, and 386.7 overall. All right. Rock Island Independence. I have a feeling this might be Paddy Profke, actually. Am I right? It is. All right. I should have just looked at the top player. I would have known who it was. Tom freaking Brady. We all questioned him when he made the pick. Supposedly he's a motivational speaker for the team. Seems rather ludicrous to waste a roster spot on a motivational speaker, but we'll see how it goes. All right. Quarterback room is solid, but scary. Derek Carr's, every single year he's being replaced. So doesn't matter what team he's at. Bo Nix actually, I don't know. He's not even listed as a starter now. I see. I can't believe that. I'm pretty sure Peyton's playing games. And then Aaron Rodgers, if he's healthy, he'll score. I think people think it could be elite production. I don't see elite production. Not this year. Oh, sorry. I think he'll be solid without. I don't think there's elite. I don't know if there's elite left. It's hard to say because like you're coming back from you're 40, whatever he is, coming back from a torn Achilles, which is probably one of the worst injuries you can come back from. We'll see. Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey, probably about as good as it gets at running back, as a combination anyway. Kenneth Walker. I love Kenneth Walker as a running back. Unfortunately, he just doesn't get the points as in the receiving game to be any higher. And here's the guy I was talking about before. Talking about holdouts, CeeDee Lamb. This seems to be taking a turn for a very ugly situation. And that's a large chunk of points if he's not out there for your team. I hope for everyone that's got CeeDee Lamb that the situation actually repairs itself and everything goes back to we're all friends, let's keep going, blah, blah, blah. But right now it doesn't look good. Mark Andrews, always solid, always injured. So pretty good offense there for Paddy, as long as CeeDee Lamb is actually on the field. DT, Justin Matabike, had a great season last year. Kalijah Cansey looks like a good solid backup. That's probably your main ones. Defensive end wise, so Khalil Mack, the near ageless wonder, had a fantastic season last year. It'd be interesting to see if he can keep that going. He's into his mid-30s now too. And Adafe Owe or Jason Owe, however the hell you want to say it, probably not the strongest second defensive end. You've already lost Samson Ebikam for the year. Dorrance Armstrong, he's got the potential to probably beat out Owe for you. But yeah, you're not strong at defensive end. Linebackers are solid. Zaire Franklin's always a good tackler. Always puts up good points every week. And Tyrell Dodson, Demario Davis, Delvine Diablo, probably your next best options and they should score all right. CBs, once again, CBs. Although McDuffie and Cam Taylor-Britt are a couple of guys that I like that should score pretty well. Safeties, you got Jesse Bates, Minka, and Taylor Rapp as your highest rated. Jair Brown should score all right this year. Honey Badger, he's more name than he is fantasy production. He scores all right, but not great. He might be sort of in that balance for your third safety spot. But Jesse Bates was fucking amazing last season. And Minka's generally amazing. He was just dinged up all year last year. All right, so overall offensive score 184.09 and defensive 226.21 for a 410.3 rating. There is a stack of teams around this 410 area in this conference. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're about to see another one, actually. All right. This one, oops. What have I done? There we go. All right. Jacob Borich. All right, quarterbacks. We've got Joe Burrow and Deshaun Watson actually grades out as his next best option, just ahead of Jaden Daniels. It was like a 0.2 of a point or something like that. I have a feeling that when he's putting in starters, I don't agree with it. I'd start Jaden Daniels over Deshaun Watson. I'd start most quarterbacks in the league over Deshaun Watson, to be honest. So that ship has sailed for me. He's burned his bridges. We're done. So, oh God. Oh, Bryce Young. Sorry, I didn't see Bryce Young. I think Young will have a decent season this year. He scares the shit out of me because of his size. He did dead set looks like he's one hit away from career being over, but I think they've set him up better this season. They've got better weapons. I think Bryce will have a good year. He might even be a better option than Deshaun Watson. That's a big call. Not really. I like James Cook. Just doesn't score touchdowns. But he's productive in every other way, and I think he will be productive. I actually think he'll catch a lot of passes for Buffalo this year too. So Mixon, that's probably graded out about as high as I'd possibly go for him. But he's in the perfect offense to get touchdowns, and he should get touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr., George Pickens, Garrett Wilson, I like them all. Not a lot else at receiver outside of maybe Cortland Sutton, JMO. Sutton's always solid, and who knows, JMO might explode. I don't know. That's a really tough situation. And Cole Kmet graded out as his starting tight end. Kmet's points aren't generally projected all that high because there's not a lot of love for the way Shane Waldron uses his tight ends around the league in the fantasy projections anyway. So, well, Derek Brown was massive last season at DT, and got a couple of solid backups there with Dexter Lawrence. I think Keon White probably has a good year now. Probably depends on what's going on with Christian Barmore, how much time he's going to miss, whether he's even going to play this year. I don't know. I haven't looked into the situation. I think Darius Robinson can be a solid rookie too. Defensive ends, you're pretty solid there. Couple of guys I like. You got Joey Bosa. If he can stay healthy, he'll produce. Nick Bosa, Matt Judon. If he stays healthy, he's always productive. And Gregory Rousseau, I think, could have a better year this year. Kayvon Thibodeau is a funny one. I know a lot of people like him, but his pressure rates and everything are awful. Like in some of the worst in the league. It'll be interesting to see if he can take a step up. But for your sake, you're not relying on him anyway. So it's pretty good deep defensive end room. Linebackers, CJ Mosley and Bobby Wagner, great out as your top ones. Devin White should have a bounce back this season. I think Jerome Baker can be a solid linebacker in Seattle too. And Bentley always gets tackles. He just doesn't get a lot of other stuff. CBs, same again. They are what they are. Good solid safety room. Really good safety room actually. Brian Branch. Some things I've read recently scare me a little with him now as a safety from a fantasy perspective. They seem like they're going to play him off the ball quite a bit more now. If that's the case, then he may lose that ability to get the odd sack and that TFL and so forth, which will affect his scores if he's playing deeper. Kind of made me slide him down my draft board a little bit more the later we got into the draft process, especially by the time we were doing the last draft we did, which was after these Rip and Time drafts. I'd moved him down a few slots. I like Julian Blackman though. I like Daquan Brisker. Derwin James is always there. Harrison Smith solid. Chuck Clark solid. Jeremy Chin solid. So yeah, you got plenty of depth there at safety. Overall, your offense probably what hurt you a little bit. You grade out 163.76 with a 244.97 defense overall for a 408.73 score. Once again, in that cluster. All right, we got the Oorang Indians. This is Robbie's brother, Bo. Good, solid quarterbacks. Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. Not much else afterwards. Aiden O'Connell looks like it could be the starter. Not that Antonio Pierce has said anything yet. But yeah, haven't got much else other than that. Devin Achane, Rashad White, and Kyron Williams as your running backs. They should be solid. I don't like Kyron Williams this year anywhere near as much as the industry does. They've got him graded out really highly still. The Blake Corum pick scares the absolute hell out of me there. He might, and it might not make an effect, but it just for him to take a running back in the second round when they had Kyron Williams do what he did last year, just I don't know, it's a bit scary. Love Nico Collins in that situation. Hate the week 14 bye week. Debo and George Kittle at tight end. Got a couple. Got another tight end there, Dalton Schultz. Week 14s, and I think actually Greg Dulcich could have a decent season for Denver too. So they're pretty solid there. Good depth at the receiver. Xavier Worthy, Tank Dell. Scary having two receivers off the same team. Maybe you could look at trying to package up Tank Dell with something to make a move to strengthen the team in another area. Chris Jones, always good as a DT. Flash Campbell's still very productive as like per snap as a DT. I just don't know if he gets the snaps to make a big difference. But Kobe Turner, Adam Williams, both pretty solid. Defensive ends, Jonathan Grenard, Daniil Hunter, pretty funny. You've got the two guys that switched teams in the off season. Love Daniil Hunter, man. He's always, every year he scores well. Chop Robinson and Dallas Turner, a couple of rookies. We'll see. Rookie defensive ends typically aren't great scorers. Adrian Cooper I'm only bringing this up because he was the first name I looked at there. He may not start, and I saw a lot of people spruiking him as a pretty good pick for this season. But everything I've read from Green Bay looks like Isaiah McDuffie and I can't think of the other guy's name. They look like it could be ahead of him at the moment. So McDuffie actually looks like he definitely will start. So Quincy Williams and Levante David. Levante David freak me dead. Ageless wonder. Just keep scoring. You got Isaiah McDuffie there, and he actually could score all right this year if he's getting the snaps that it looks like he's going to get. Eric Kendricks will be solid in Dallas. So solid room there. CBs, once again, not going to bring it up. Cam Bynum, who I think's a massive regression target. That 23 is about the absolute max. I reckon he drops a bit off of that. Rashawn Jenkins, Jordan Poyer, and Antoine Winfield. Winfield's going to play strong, so I think his points will be right around that area again. Poyer is always productive. Tony Adams is pretty productive when he's on the field for the Jets too. So, pretty solid room, man. Overall, though, offense 170.4 and 239.83 for your defense for a 410.23 overall score. Once again, another one in that area. Yeah, here we go. Probably a team I should have taken. Chicago Tigers. And Jared Rainsford. Being that I'm a Chicago Bears fan and a West Tigers fan in the NRL, probably would have made sense to be a Chicago Tiger. But I think I tried to remove myself from the whole thing, to be honest. Right, Jared. Quarterbacks. I think you got a great quarterback room. 27.78 there for Lamar, Caleb, Kirk Cousins. The industry hates Cousins. The points per game is very low. It's in the 18 area. I don't know if I agree with that. I thought he'd be a little bit higher than that. Mid-20s, or when I say mid-20s, in that 20 sort of 22, 23 area, I think it wouldn't have been stretching anything, I don't think. Derrick Henry, everyone thinks he's going to score about 1 million touchdowns this year, so yep. Murray Cooper, I'm not hot on Stephon Diggs. I think he's the third wheel there. Zay Flower, Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson will have a better season than what they're predicting. Hollywood Brown up here is a bloke that I think will score better than's being predicted as well. I think Lad McConkey will have a big year as a rookie too. This is the position that hurt Jared. It's the same position that's hurt me, but not as bad as Jared. 8.6 for Mike Gesicki's the industry's projections, and that's easily his best tight end option. So you might need to make a move there, mate. Good luck, because people probably don't want to give him up either. So defensively, I really like Christian Barmore. I don't know what's going to happen as far as the blood clot thing goes, but you've got plenty of depth there. Deron Payne, Ed Oliver, Javon Hargrave, Braden Fisk if he has a good rookie year. So, yeah, you don't need... You're fine. Doesn't matter. Barmore's hurt. Defensive ends, Max Crosby, TJ Watt. You probably got the two highest... what's the names? Two highest rated. Not a lot elsewise, though. Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner, I think, will probably split a fair bit of time for the year. And Jadeveon Clowney should be alright. He's always pretty solid. Back home. What do we got? Linebackers, Matt Milano, Bobby Okereke. Pretty solid. I really like Okereke this year. Ivan Pace will be solid. Jordan Hicks will be solid too. So you've got some depth there. Not mentioning CDs. Where are we? Reed Blankenship, Kevin Byard, and Xavier McKinney. The industry's probably a little higher on McKinney than I am from a Packer standpoint. The safeties typically don't score insanely high. Maybe he's the exception too. So probably a bit thin at safety too. That might be something you need to look at. Last team. Oh, hang on. Sorry, didn't do your points. So 155.03 on offense, 232.17 defense for a 387.2 overall rating. Last team, the Detroit Wolverines, which would be Robbie Schleppy. All right. What do we got? Jalen Hurts and Dak at quarterback. Yeah, look. You don't really have a third quarterback. And as long as those two guys are healthy, you probably don't need a third quarterback. If Justin Fields is that third quarterback, then he is a good fantasy producer. Jacoby Brissett probably he'll start early in the season at least. So if something happens and you need a third person, he should be that third person. Running back wise, Saquon Barkley probably keyed for a big year. I think the projections are a bit higher on Jalen Hurts than where I had him, and it's going to be hard for Hurts and Barkley to have the massive years. One of them's going to vulture touchdowns from the other one, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Josh Jacobs, I think the industry was a little higher on him than I am. He was horrible last year. Jonathan Taylor, he's got a massive prove-it year this year too, in my opinion. Mike Evans, you know what you're getting. Every time he rolls out there, he's the absolute... probably one of the best deep threats still in the game. Then you got Travis Kelce. They're probably a bit higher on Kelce than I was too, to be honest. I still think Kelce's one of the best tight ends. I just don't think he grades out as the best tight end. Plus, he had injuries last year. He's in his mid-30s. There's no reason to think that as you get older, those injuries tend to keep coming. So, and Sam Laporta was fantastic last season. So probably no knock there either. Really good offense. Defensively, what did you have? DeForest Buckner. Yeah, he's easily your number one defensive tackle. Defensive ends were a little bit weaker. Trey Hendrickson's solid. Alex Highsmith's solid. A little bit of depth there with Walker. Not a lot else behind Walker, though. Anthony Jennings scored well last year, and it's just the way they rotate their linemen in for the Patriots. It's hard to tell. What we got? Linebackers. Foy's been the consensus number one for about 3 years now, so there's no reason to think that's going to change. Kenneth Murray should be solid with the Titans. Frankie Louisville, I think, can be a big play guy for the nearly said Redskins, Commanders. And Bob Spillane had a good year last year. CBs, yep. Safeties, Duggar and Metellus and Richie Grant actually looks like, if the Helms injury was what it looked like it could have been, I'd say Richie Grant's in for possibly a little boost in production there. And Javon Bullard should be a solid one as a rookie. Cooper DeJean, I don't know what playtime he's even going to say. Jason Pinnock was pretty solid last year too. All right, so overall we've got 193.64 on offense, 225.58 on defense for 419.22 overall score. All right, so now back to the overalls. So blow this up so you can see it. Beautiful. Whoops, too far. Look, there you go. All right. So, I didn't cheat to make this happen. Milwaukee Badgers grayed out on top. The Detroit Wolverines second. Rock Island third. Muncie Flyers fourth. Oorang Indians fifth. Brooklyn Lions sixth. Then the Washington Redskins just miss out of a playoff spot according to this. Then Detroit Panthers, Chicago Tigers, and Staten Island Stapletons round out the group. It's a pretty close group. That gap between, what do we got? The Redskins up to Independence. There's 3 points. 3 points overall, and depth is going to come into this. Injuries, bye weeks, all that sort of stuff. It's all going to come into how good your team finishes. Robbie ended up with the number one offense, and Jake ended up with the number one defense. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't got much else to say. I will get ready for the next one and come back shortly. Thanks for watching, guys.